Hey everyone, welcome back to the Space Podcast. I'm your host, Max Young. On this show, we dive deep into thoughtful conversations with creative minds from across the industry, sharing insights, stories, and the spark behind their work. Today, I'm joined by Megan Tang. As a full-time content creator, she regularly travels the world while specializing in creative direction and working as a DP. You may have seen her uniquely color-graded lifestyle or photography content, which is always presented in a very personal way. Today, we cover how she got into content creation, her full content production pipeline, and how she makes a living doing so.
I believe in hooks, yes, but also sometimes I just literally want to post good work. If I believe it's good and I think there is emotion to it and there is no need for a hook, I post it and normally it does well, because I think something that really does well on Instagram is just really good work that you put your heart and soul into. People, I think, feel that emotion across the screen.
Enjoy the chat.
Thank you so much for joining me today on this podcast. Could you briefly introduce yourself and tell me a bit about who you are for those who maybe don't know you yet?
Thank you so much for having me. Well, I'm Megan and I was born and raised in Malaysia. I moved to Germany around 6 years ago and I was studying filmmaking. I graduated this year. I think 2.5 years ago, I started my YouTube and social media journey. And ever since then, I've been doing it full time. So very glad to be here. I think how I started my whole career was with 12. I think my dad and my uncle, they were really into film photography. And that's how I learned all the basics of photography from them. And then I realized that I really wanted to study film. And in Germany, film education is free. So I came from Malaysia to Germany when I was 17. I kind of spent 5 to 6 years in Germany studying film. During that time, obviously Corona came, and then I was thinking to myself, okay, if I want to get my work out there, it's super hard to get in the film industry because it's super gate capped. So if I want to get my work out there, I was thinking to myself, why not take TikTok or Instagram as a platform to get my work out there and get more eyeballs on it? So that's how I started my whole social media journey. And thankfully it has been pretty smooth running until now. So I'm very glad about that.
Can you maybe dive a bit more in depth about what you specifically did during your university time, what specialties you chose and how you then are using that now in your greater journey?
For filmmaking, because it was so soon, I started in 2019, and then obviously Corona came for 2 or 3 years. So for those 2 or 3 years, there were not a lot of practical courses that were going on. There were not of classes that I could actually do stuff in. So a lot of it I actually learned from YouTube. So in those 2 or 3 years, I learned a lot from YouTube, editing, color grading. That's where all my knowledge comes from. So from then, I think what I applied from my film school is very minimal in my content. So I think a lot of what I apply in my content is my own learnings, YouTube and color grading, editing, and how to shoot and how to light. I learned how to light from YouTubers. The film school gave me the chance to maybe try it on set, but a lot of it, I tried it at home and I tried how I figured it out myself at home. That's how I applied that knowledge now into my content.
How did you kind of embrace, how do you nurture creativity? Because I think it's not really tangible. So it's hard to grasp what creativity means. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious, what does it mean for you and how do you integrate it in your content?
For me, at least, it's when you can create something original, you can create something new. It doesn't have to be super new, but it has to be something, I think, that you invent yourself in your own way and they can tell in your own way. And I think that is, for me, creativity.
Would you say or consider that it's embracing your authentic self and using an influence that maybe shaped you in your work? How would you visually describe creativity?
Not necessarily, because I think that would be more of a personal brand kind of question. But creativity is, for me, really just inventing something out of the box, something new and something no one has ever seen before. That is how I would describe creativity personally, I think.
So maybe you can walk us through the process of one specific video that you think was very creative of you. Because I'm curious about where did you find inspiration? Do you listen to music, or do you take a look at different creators or different artists' work?
I think one of my favorite pieces until this very day, and I tell a lot of people that it was one of the first pieces I've done when I started social media. I don't know if you know this one, but it's the one where I was sitting next to my washing machine. I opened the door and fishes are coming out.
Yeah.
So that was one of my favorite pieces, because I was literally just on this couch and I was thinking to myself, I'm having a creative burnout. And then I thought of this idea and I created it into this whole YouTube piece, and I worked with this amazing animator, Kenji. It came to life. So for that one, that was really just something out of my brain. I didn't really take any inspiration from it, but I think it's, for me, inspiration comes in waves. And I think it's from all of the life experiences that I have experienced. And obviously what I've been watching, what I've been reading, what I've been what series I've been watching and stuff like that. So yeah, it's just in the back of my mind, things that I've seen before that just come into inspiration and creativity. And that for that one, in that time, I think I was watching a lot of anime. So a lot of animes, they have like the summer festival in Japan, and then there's like lanterns and there's like floating fish and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's where maybe it kind of like clicked, like the spark kind of clicked for the fishes coming out idea.
So like in this specific example, you said that you were sitting on your couch and felt kind of like creatively in a rut. So would you then say that creativity is something that you can like force into existence?
Ooh, I wouldn't say force, but I think you can make yourself so bored until you can't help but like think about
So like
something.
embrace boredom and like...
Yes. I think that's the reason why I take long showers. I like to burn my skin. It's very bad. But I think when I take long showers, I have the best ideas. Like I think a lot of my ideas come in the shower because, you know, after a long day, you are not on your phone, you're not on your laptop, you can't do anything in the shower other than think. So for me, every other hour of the day, I'm either like shooting, I'm like on my phone, I'm on my laptop, I'm working or editing or whatever. My mind is like always occupied until I'm in the shower. I just need more of those moments. And I think people need more of those moments when they think that they're in a creative rut, to just literally do nothing and think.
Do you like physically save any source of inspiration? Like, is it like an active process going on? Because currently all the things that you describe are more passive, right? Like consume, or you just have ideas. Basically, I don't know. But like, is there any other way where you actively take part in being creative, like embracing and nurturing creativity?
One thing that I do actively that I think helps is really just taking a break. Because a lot of the time I'm very overstimulated, and there's a lot of videos and a lot of people saying things about like being overstimulated in this era. It's very hard for me to take a break. Like I get kind of like really uneasy. I get really restless when I take a break and I say like, okay, I'm not doing anything today. I still end up doing something. Other than that, you were saying like saving inspirations and stuff like that. I do that a lot. Like I go on YouTube actively to see what people are doing, what people are talking about, how they do it. Even on Instagram, when I'm scrolling through reels, it's normally like actively searching for like, what can I do next? Like, what is trending right now? Are there any songs that really speak to me, like on Spotify? Like, for example, the last one I did, you know, Where's My Husband by Ray? The song. So that one really inspired me. I was listening to it in the plane, and that really inspired me. And then I actively went into that song and I was like, okay, what is she talking about? What are the lyrics? How can I turn the lyrics into visuals? So that's how I sort of like dissect the idea and like a song or like a small idea. So I just kind of like dissect until it becomes one whole big complete video or idea.
That is a very interesting point, because what I'm hearing is that for you, the idea doesn't necessarily mean that it's a concept, and then like you add on like visuals and songs, but that a song would also be the beginning of an idea.
Yes.
Because I feel like that a lot of people, myself included, sometimes we have ideas first, and then like music, for example, is an afterthought, where we just like try to find music that matches or elevates the existing visuals or the existing idea. From what I'm hearing is that you say that sometimes music or even like light experiences or emotions are the initial starting point of an idea. And then you kind of figure out the rest of visuals and the rest, right?
Yeah, that's definitely, I think for me, that's one of the things that these kind of things just spark ideas. And then only I deep dive into like, what is the concept? Like, what is this going to fit to my brand? Like, what are the visuals going to look like? And when I hear music, I normally see visuals. So that's why I'm starting to also try a lot more to do this kind of content where I kind of like connect songs with my visuals and the concepts. And also I'm trying to direct more music videos as a side thing. For me, life experiences and songs and music in general really like it's the catalyst for all the ideas that I have.
Can you maybe walk me through, like, let's say you have like different ideas in your day or in your week, right? Like, do you have any place where you save these ideas? Because I feel like that humans in general, like they can come up with ideas quite easily almost, but it's very hard to like, first of all, like keep them in mind, like keep them somewhere where it's still stored, right? Like it's very easy, I think, for us to like forget ideas in them. And also then like, how do you figure out what idea is worthy to pursue?
Oh my God. So yeah, that's a good question, because it's like good ideas, bad ideas, what is good, what is bad, especially if you're like your own boss, you don't have anyone to consult with. I keep my ideas, first of all, a lot of my notes app. And then Notion. But if I'm on the plane, there's always my notes app. Or sometimes I just take voice recordings and I'm like, idea number 55 or something, you know, and then I try to go through, I try to do a voiceover on my notes app to kind of like visualize how it's going to look. And then sometimes I listen to it back, but most of the time, like 99%, I don't listen to my voiceover back. Instagram, I just save them. And Pinterest is also like a big inspiration bank for me. But a lot of it just goes on Notion. So I have like this whole Notion page where I have like ideas to do, ideas that I'm doing right now, and ideas that I've done. To answer your question of like, how do I evaluate which one I do and which one is good or bad? I try going into it. And for me, I know I shouldn't do this, but I go into ideas with a lot of motivation.
Yeah.
And if I don't feel it, I'm not going to do it, because I think your audience definitely can feel when you have like the heart and soul into your work. And I think your audience also knows when you don't put in that feeling. So if I don't think that I can provide that feeling or emotion into my work, I won't do it, just because I know it just come out like half-assed.
So does it mean that sometimes it could happen that you like start a project and in the middle you realize that it's nothing that you are that eager to do anymore? Do you like still finish it, or you then like abandon the project?
If it's halfway done, like editing phase, I finish it. But if it's like idea wise, I'm just like, nah, this idea is just not it.
Yeah.
I'll be like, okay, you know what? Let's just take a step back. Either maybe I'll think about it again. Like that's what happened with the Where Is My Husband reel one, because there was so much preparation for just like one reel. It was a lot of buying props. It was like getting out and getting the props and like thinking about the idea, because it was a very complicated, for me, it was complicated because I was filming a lot of it by myself and my partner helped me as well. But it was just a lot of like complicated camera movements and stuff like that. So in the middle of me doing the pre-production for that one, I was very hyped out when I was doing the idea and writing down the idea. But when I came into pre-production, I was just like, this is so much work. Like, I don't want to do it. But when I was doing the production and the editing, I was very into it. For those kind of ideas, I normally pull through because I know it's going to be a good one. And I think it's going to kind of portray a good portfolio for myself.
Let's say we get a bit more nuance. Like, let's say you have like a list of ideas, right? Mm-hmm. In your notes app, and you say like you have basically two places like either your notes app or a Notion.
Yeah.
Is there any point in time where you can like transcribe your notes from your notes app into Notion, or do you like just keep them separated and you always know where every idea is?
I normally try to take my notes app into my Notion just because that's where everything is. And I try to organize my ideas because my ideas are like everywhere. They're like on pieces of paper. They're in my notebook. I also write a lot because I think writing physically helps my brain kind of like rewire. I don't know. I try to take the notes I have from my notes and I put it in the Notion and kind of like put it in like bullet point form. So it's easier for me to refer to. So when I have a script or when I have an idea, then I also have sort of like a visual idea of what I want. Yeah. So I try to generate sort of like a mood board in Notion. I take things from like FrameSet or like Shot Deck and then just put them all in Notion.
And I mean, in Notion, you probably have like like table dashboard of your ideas.
Sort of. I don't know what you call that, but you know the ones with like the to-do list and then it's like tabs. So there's like one row of like haven't done, one row of like in progress.
Yeah. Specifically, what kind of tags or like what columns do you have? Because I guess like for me, for example, I try like a lot of ways to sort my work. I mean, personally, I also have like one Notion dashboard for my like personal content work and for my editing or videography work. And then I have like filters and everything to like sort them by like date or by a lot of different things. But the thing is that at the end of the day, you only use what you first of all are familiar with and what's easy to use, because if it's too complicated, you don't use it. So like what I'm wondering is like what content do you have and like what tags do you have? Like, because like some people, they just wing it, right? Like they just have an idea and they do content and they don't worry about it and either performs or it doesn't perform. But then there are people that are like too advanced. Maybe it's like too complicated or like even too much pre-production, I would maybe say, because then they don't feel that great if the content that they thought of doesn't perform that well. From a strategy point, you could get very nuanced, very detailed, say like you have like your content pillars, right? Like you have like long form, short form, you have maybe podcasts, you have trial reels, you have carousels, you have posts, you have stories, you have LinkedIn posts, fill it in, like take everything. How do you keep track of where to post what, when to post what format do you have? Is there any like structure there or?
One thing you gotta know about me is that I'm very messy. Like even in my thoughts, I'm very messy. So Notion has really helped me to like sort of organize that. By the way, this is not sponsored by Notion. I have like that page where I was telling you. So I have like one column where it's just literally like content ideas. That's what it's labeled as. And then there's another column saying in progress. So like what is in progress right now. And then there's like ideas that says done. So all those ideas I chop away, it's all done. I've posted it, it's out in the world, whatever. But that's like literally the only page I have with all my ideas in Notion at least. And then the others are like, again, like all in my notebooks or like in my notes app. Other than that, I don't really have a very organized system. Besides that, I have like a content calendar where I know like when I'm going to be writing my ideas, when I'm going to be writing scripts, where I'm going to be producing, where I'm going to be producing, editing, so forth and so on. But other than that, I think that is like the only column that I have.
Do you script your videos fully? Or do you use bullet points? What's your pre-production phase like?
So I have the idea in Notion. Sometimes I script there, but sometimes, most of the time I script in Google Docs. So I just like full flash like 5, 6, 7 pages out of like, for example, for like a YouTube video, my whole script is there, like how I'm going to shoot. And normally if I'm shooting by myself, I don't really create like full fleshed out storyboard or mood board. I just kind of like whatever's in the script, I type it down below like what the shots are going to look like. So then I have that own reference for myself. And like for short form, I do love doing a storyboard by hand. So I draw a lot of the storyboards out in my notebooks, especially for like that rave music video, or like, for example, like the last video I did on Instagram where it's like a reintroduction for myself. That one I wrote out really fast because I was doing it the night before I shot it. But if it's like a rave video where it's a little bit more planned out, I normally like having my own reference because the shots are a little bit more like complicated. Like this is when I need to do a transition. Like this is when I need to pan. This is when I need to like, cover the lens or whatever. So stuff like that, I definitely try to like draw out on paper and have it as reference when I'm shooting by myself.
Do you think about like any specific way of structuring your videos? Like what is your thought process behind it? Because like sometimes there are people who think like, oh, I have to like a hook midway in the video, right? And other people like say like, no, there's like great content and it's more about publishing instead of like overthinking it. So like, what's your take on that?
I think when I first started, and I recently actually posted a video about this on Instagram, when I first started, I didn't actually really overthink my content, which I found really funny because a lot of the videos back then did very well when I first started YouTube. They were all in the mid-range of like, I think 100 to like 500K, which is kind of crazy for someone who just started YouTube. So I didn't overthink any of the content, and there were like no hooks, there were like no middle hooks and stuff like that. I just literally just produced whatever I thought I wanted to. And now I'm starting to sort of like refine, I think, the process or the hooks of the video. So for example, for like a YouTube video, I know in the first 10 seconds, you need to at least show someone what this video is about, like why they should watch it, why they should care about what you're talking about. And I think that definitely helps. It also creates just a lot of more structure around the YouTube video. And then from then onwards, I try to have the cuts as intriguing as possible and engaging as possible so that people keep on watching, and you always provide them with like, why should I watch this? And then you remind them, oh yeah, that's why I'm watching it. So I try to kind of create those hooks in the middle in my YouTube videos. And for Instagram and short form, it's a little different because I believe in hooks, yes, but it's also just like, I try not to feed the algorithm as much as I want to, I guess. Like I know that I need a 3-second hook. I know this and this is like a good hook, but also sometimes I just literally want to post good work. I just want to post my work that I think and I believe is good. And a lot of the time, if I believe it's good and if I think there is emotion to it and there is no need for a hook, I post it and normally it does well. Because I think also something that really does well on Instagram is just really good work, or like work that you put, again, your heart and soul into. Because again, people I think feel the emotion across the screen. And I'm a big believer of even though there's no good hook, but it's a good piece of work that you think is good, I think it would do well.
So how do you treat quality versus quantity? Because I feel like from your kind of standpoint, your YouTube work is most of the times either like an emotional or like story-based piece that you put out or educational.
Yeah.
But like for short form, there are in general like more, I would almost like say categories of like trends or quick, let's call it like pieces where you just like sit in front of the camera and just like talk, right? Like share something. But also high quality reels are like sponsored or not sponsored, maybe like cool visuals and you like play around with like music, stuff like that. Sometimes like these more produced videos, obviously they take more time and more effort to pre-produce, produce and edit, right? And I even sometimes need more people to work together on the project. And at the end of the day, I would say that most agree that it's kind of like a numbers game because you never know like if your algorithm like prefers you or not. Yeah. So just posting more overall helps you to just like increase your following size, your engagement or whatever. So how do you balance or manage whether or not you will spend time or are spending time on a quality piece of work or like, let's say like a quantity piece of work where you say, I just have an idea. I want to like publish it quick and fast because maybe it's like not long lived. It's just like a quick trend or something just like want to put out there.
It's very hard to find a balance for me, but I try to post more quality than quantity nowadays. I think back then I would just post whatever I wanted, but now because it's like really a personal brand that I've built and like a brand that I I have been building, I try to post a lot more quality than quantity. So I do still post, I think, pretty regularly on Instagram, at least. For example, yesterday I posted this like really quick trend and it was like a 7-second video, and that is doing really well. So stuff like that, I think is super good when it's like you're having fun with your content and you can have fun all the time. That for me is something very important. Like I still have fun with content, but maybe let's say I don't post it on my feed or I post it just on my Reels page, that I can live with. I really try to post more quality than quantity, or both together. It is very tough to combine both. I think it's a lot of work, but that's what I try at least. And then whenever I see like a trend going on, like you said, like short-lived trends, I try to cop on those trends, and whatever like footage that I have, I could reuse, or like I could get out of my whole like footage stash and just sort of like maybe put something together and see how it works. So when I hear like a trending sound, again, I get like a idea or like a spark of idea, or like, because normally trending sounds also come with like a trend, like a video trend, like what the video's about. Like let's say like POV, he thinks he's a filmmaker or whatever, and that's like the Snapchat filter. So stuff like that is pretty easy to jump on because it's like already a trend that's going on video wise and like audio wise. So you can just kind of like take whatever footage you have. For example, I take whatever footage I have and I try to like sort of like match the vibe. And I think stuff like that is really good to reach newer audiences and also try to get more engagement. But in general, I feel like those trending pieces, it doesn't have much additional value to your portfolio or to your brand in general. But it's just something that you, I think, need to do if you're a content creator, just to like still have fun with your content and also stay relevant, I guess.
But do you ever like think about marketing funnels when you think about content, like top funnel, mid funnel, and bottom funnel, where you kind of create awareness and can kind of build trust and then convert it into like audience that interact with you, buy from you, or like whatever your call to actions, right? Do you align your content in one of those levels, or what's your reasoning of creating the content?
I think a lot of the times I have a goal. Yeah. And like you were saying, I think I don't necessarily think of them as funnels, but I have obviously the trending audience, which is like, you know, engagement, it's like new followers. And then there's like the mid funnel where it's like, I kind of want to build this personality. I want to like let people know like, hey, I'm your friend online. Like this is not just a face on a screen. Like that is the mid funnel. And it doesn't necessarily have to gain a lot of new followers, but it's for my audience that have been following me already to say like, or to know like, hey, Megan is still there. She's still talking to me and like she's building her personality online. And I think like it's sort of like the mid funnel is like sort of for the people who already follow me or are new to me, like try to sort of like get to know me as a person. And I think that again builds trust. The last funnel I haven't really thought of, but I'm trying to build also like a community outside of online. I try to do like the lives, which I'm doing today as well, like the YouTube live where I react to other people's film because I want to give back to my community. And then I've been doing Snap and Yap where I get to actually meet people, and that has been super lovely and touch wood really successful. So it's stuff like that that I really like to do outside of social media. That is, I think, the last funnel, which is like building a community and also just having fun with, I guess, the audience that I've built.
Now we covered a lot of the pre-production. Can you walk me now through your production and how long does a typical long form or end or short form video take for you? And then how would you continue using the visual notes or like physical notes to like create a piece of content?
For a YouTube video like the last one or the one I'm working on right now, because I had to build something, you know, one of those like Japanese like rice paper doors, like the traditional ones. I built that for my last video and it's right there in that room. That one took me a long time. So that took me 4 to 5 days to shoot, also because I was shooting most of it myself. So that is normally around the time I use for a YouTube video. It's a lot of like talking heads, a lot of obviously BTS and like angles where I need to put on my slider, like my camera on my slider, and I have to like see if it's okay. Is it off? Like, is it wonky? So a lot of that, because I'm shooting by myself, takes so long. So it's like 3 to 5 days. That's normally how long I take for a YouTube video. The one I did with Life of Riza, for example, that took us, I think, 4.5 or 5 days. We were in LA running around to every freaking location that we could think of. I feel like that was almost like a short film, honestly, because we had a script, we had locations, we had a whole mood board fleshed out. And every day we were just waking up at like 7 or 8 and going out to those locations one by one in LA. And you know how big LA is, right? So it was just a lot of just, you know, going back and forth and us helping each other to shoot. So that was 4 to 5 days of just grinding. So yeah, that's like long form. Short form, I mean, you were at one of my shoots for short form, the Swatch one. That was one of my favorite shoots, by the way, as well. That was so fun where you were in the water. But, you know, for short form, it normally takes me around 6 to like 8 hours to shoot. The last one I did where I was shooting in New York in the streets, that took us also around like, I'm going to say 4 to 6 hours. And then like the Ray one, the Ray music video short form was like, I would say 13 hours to shoot. That was like a whole day. So normally if it's not just like a talking head and it's not just like B-roll kind of like content, sometimes I have sponsored content like where I'm going around talking heads, going around the town or something like that. That takes in general, like at home, if I shoot by myself, it takes like 2-3 hours, and then outside it would take like 2 hours maybe. But short form was obviously much like easier in terms of production than a YouTube video.
When do you bring on other people to help you out?
When I know a lot of the shots I need movement in, like I am a big fan of camera movement, but sometimes obviously alone you just can't get it. So then that's when I bring either my partner or other people, like professional people like yourself, to come in. Especially for the swatch video, I know it's going to be a little bit tricky. You know, it's involving water, it's involving a lot of tech and water, lights and water. So I definitely wanted to have you and Finn on it. Finn was the lighting guy, because I think that one I wouldn't have been able to do myself alone. Like putting the camera in the water and putting it on tripod would have been almost impossible without anything to hold it down, and that would just have been so difficult with the focus and just checking if the shot was okay or not.
Yeah.
So I think that's when I know like I need to bring people in, when I know I want movement, I want dynamics in my video, and it's very hard for me to get a good shot by doing it by myself.
I'm guessing it's also very similar to when you want like other angles that you wouldn't or aren't able to get otherwise. So for example, I mean, you've just been in New York, and some of your videos you have like more like wire shots. More far away, right? Personally, I'm not sure if I would like leave my camera alone somewhere and then just like walk down the other street.
Right.
So I assume that you also have like somebody standing there.
Yeah, most of the time. Right? I feel like that's just New York. Like I personally wouldn't do it, but I've done it many times alone. In New York, I wouldn't do it. In a lot of like other cities, like let's say like I was in Luxembourg where I did like a whole video about me filming myself.
Yeah.
I put it down. I was alone. And even in Europe, when I was eating with a friend at a cafe, I put my camera like maybe like 5 feet away from me. And that was also okay. Like I was really scared that people were going to take it because people were walking by as I was filming me and my friend at the cafe on the street.
Yeah.
So it was scary, but I also still did it when I was shooting alone, because there are some trips where I just don't have my partner with me and I'm alone. So I take my chances.
Right.
Yeah.
We kind of now covered the production phase, and then I know that you do like a lot of the editing yourself. Sometimes you outsource. How is your process like for that? Like, can you like walk me through that? Like what products you use? How is your in the program? How's your folder structure? How do you start? Like, do you create a rough cut, or do you start with the edit straight away? What's like? Yeah,
so I do, I think 90% of the editing myself. It's only recently where I started outsourcing to editors, because I am really trying to be a little bit more consistent on YouTube, and long form is like one of the hardest things for me to edit all the time, because it takes me weeks to edit. Also because I just like mess around. If I sit down and do it, it takes me a week. Yeah. So I'm trying to outsource. But other than that, before that, I've done all my editing myself. Short form, I do all my editing myself. So what I do and what I use is DaVinci Resolve. So I'm a big DaVinci girl. Yay. Because I can do everything there. I can edit audio, I can do voiceovers, and I also can do my color grading, as you know. So what I do is obviously I bring all of the videos and all of the audios and whatever not into the media page, and then I go through them. I normally already have like music sourced out or sound effects, again, because when I already have an idea, I normally have the music in my head already. So definitely I know what music it is. And then I kind of go into like a rough cut. But for me, when I'm cutting, I get very nosy. So I try to like refine as I'm going. So it's sort of like almost like a final cut as I'm going. I think something that Adrian Per always says, you know Adrian, right? He always says that pre-production is actually like the most important part of the production, because once you have a pre-production, you have exactly like what you want to shoot, when you want to like edit. Because for him, I think he writes his scripts also like shoot this, edit like this, transition here, SFX here, like everything he already has in his script. And that's like how I write my scripts as well. So if you already know like how it's going to look at edit, all you have to do is edit it. Like you don't have to think about the edit while you're doing it. Obviously, some videos I have those times where I edit as I'm going and I haven't really thought about it, but most of the time for like YouTube videos and like short form, I know how I'm gonna edit, but I don't color grade. I normally just add text, sound effects, blah 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 in like the first cut, and then after that I go on again, do maybe like a second cut, and then only a color grade. I think like a lot of editors, I cut based on music and beat. So for the ones where I already know what the music or song is going to be, I just download it and I cut according to the music in the timeline itself. Yeah. But sometimes for the sponsor content, I cut like the first cut first, and then I put music over it, and then I'll see like if that's going to work, and then I'll try to fit the cuts to the music. But most of the time I have the music already for the sponsor content, and then I put my edit on it.
If any rule of thumb of how long a music track can last at max, because I know that some people like prefer like changing up the music every 20 seconds for attention purposes.
That's me. I think you cut one of my YouTube videos, and I think you know that I use a lot of songs for like one video, just because, again, retention. Yeah, I'm that kind of person that also doesn't have very long retention, because ADHD. So I try to change my song every 30 seconds, and sometimes it doesn't come to an end, but I'm okay with it. But if I think like it's like coming towards the end of the YouTube video, then maybe sometimes I try to organize the song so that it ends where the song ends as well. But a lot of the times I kind of break down my videos, especially like my tutorials, into chapters into a video, and then I try to use a new song for every chapter. So it's like a new start, a new thing, and then people, I think, hopefully keep watching.
Let's talk TNT. Like, what are your thoughts on thumbnail and title creation?
Oh my God.
It's like an afterthought, or is also like rolling on in the...
It used to be an afterthought, but now it's a before thought. It's definitely like what I've learned in YouTube is like, I also said this in my last YouTube video. I feel like if you don't have a good thumbnail or title, people are not going to click on it and your effort is going to be wasted. When I'm doing a YouTube video, I definitely think about thumbnail first. And I think Instagram is changing in the sense that the algorithm also favors what your thumbnail is. And I think it's starting to get a bit more important on short form now, if I'm not mistaken. But on YouTube, I've learned from a lot of good YouTubers that thumbnail and title always comes first. And then you kind of work backwards into how the video is going to play out.
And what's your process like to create
a thumbnail and title?
Yeah, like how to figure out like how to word it. I know that for YouTube, I'm not sure if every account has access to it, but sometimes you can even like create up to like 3 different variations of the thumbnail.
Yeah.
And I know that some people like change up their title and even their thumbnail after a couple of hours if they see that the retention or like the graph in general, like that isn't performing right.
Yeah.
So
I definitely do that, and I've done that in the past, and it works. So basically on YouTube you have A/B testing, so it's like 3 thumbnails, and now you can even do thumbnails and titles, so you can change your thumbnails and titles. So a lot of the times what I did was I had 3 thumbnails, and then I see which one will perform after a few days or a few hours, and then I change it accordingly. My process for a thumbnail is like it's very hard, because I think for my thumbnails it's more of like conveying an emotion instead of a message. I know for a lot of YouTube videos, especially for tutorial based or like for video essay based, it's a lot of like trying to convey a curiosity or a message to like the audience that will want to watch it. But I think for my kind of like content, I like in my world of content and in my industry, I think it's a lot of like trying to convey an emotion, trying to convey a look that people fall in love with and then want to click on, like how, like, what is this video about? Like, why does it look nice? Like, is it going to give me like a cozy feeling? Is it going to give me inspiration? So I try to pick and shoot in the sense that I think this thumbnail is going to give people inspiration. It's going to make them feel good. It's not necessarily like conveying information unless it's like a tutorial video. And then normally for tutorial, but it's like how to, or like how I did this, or like I did this in X amount of hours, or like stuff like that. And then for things that are more like lifestyle, more of like story based, I again try to convey more emotion than message, I think, or maybe both at the same time. The one I did recently was how to find your spark again. And it was a thumbnail of me opening a door where light was coming out, and it was like in a hallway where it was dark, and like the door when I opened it was just like one streak of light. So in my head, that was like a good frame, because I think it kind of conveys the message of like, this door is, or this video is that door, and it's leading you to like a new world of inspiration. It's very abstract, but that was what was going in my head. And for that one, I actually had A/B testing. So it was either that thumbnail, or I had another thumbnail where it was just me lying on a bed, like a top shot of me lying on a bed, just me looking uninspired. And the title on the thumbnail for both thumbnails were "It's Not That Deep." And then the title was "How to Find Your Spark Again." It's like also, I think what works in YouTube very well is when thumbnails and titles are contradicting themselves. So it's like "How to Find Your Spark Again." Like that's something that's pretty hard. But then the thumbnail says "It's not that deep." So it makes it look easy. So like, what is it about the YouTube video that I need to watch that will make it easy for me to find my spark again? And the thumbnail that I chose actually was doing worse than the thumbnail that I didn't choose. It was 48% versus I think 52%. But I chose the 48% one because I just felt like it would convey much more emotion. And I was right. So it went from, I think, 15,000 views, and now it's at 407,000 views, I think. Crazy. Yeah, it was kind of crazy because I thought the other one would definitely do better, but I just felt a lot more emotion and weight towards the other thumbnail that I actually chose. So sometimes it's like statistics maybe can lie to you. It's something that I still have to crack. I feel like a lot of YouTubers have cracked it, but I'm still very like wonky with like title and thumbnails. It's still something that I'm really trying to learn and perfect, just because, it doesn't always go the way you planned it. And sometimes you think a thumbnail or title will do well and then it doesn't. So yeah.
For sure. Is there also like any thought in it that involves kind of like your branding? Because for a lot of people, the goal is to have some consistency between them. So like if someone like sees a thumbnail on your like explore page, for example,
right,
that are exactly that's greatest video.
For me, it wasn't, I wouldn't say super intentional, but I think people know my content from my color grading, because I've heard that a lot. I don't know, people come up to me and they're like, I knew this was your content because of the color grading. So I guess that is part of my brand now. But other than that, it's also putting your face into your thumbnails. Like if you show your face and you want to put a face to a name, then I would say definitely put your face on your thumbnails, because then people exactly know like this is her. So for me, again, like also it's a font, it's face, and it's color grading. So those three things I think are my branding. And for title wise, my titles are very like full. Like I use all the characters that YouTube can give me. It's bad. It's bad. I need to shorten it. I'm trying to shorten it, but I think people know that it's my video also because of the title, because it's just like fully just covered.
And I think also like recognition wise on like short form with autoplays, I guess the music sound effect choices and pacing plays a huge role and familiarity.
I think for me, I have this like thing going on where I tell people that, hi, I'm Megan, your local girly girl and filmmaker. And I think that is sort of like an intro that when people hear it, they know it's my content and it's me. And then also a lot of creators do this, but I have like a split screen thing when I do my daily vlogs. And also I use my own font. So I have my own handwriting as my font. And I think that is also something that can obviously make you stand out from everyone else, because no one has your handwriting. Yeah. So that is something I try to use. Sometimes
you use recurring formats that may be tutorials, right? But you also have this content series almost, where you say, like you have one where tell people what you did in a week, for example. Or you now created one called Snap in the App, which I think, you just came back from New York and you hosted like a photo walk there, gathering different photographers and creators to basically go on a photo journey or walk with you to take photos, right? I'm wondering, how was your process like to, like when creating this series? Like when do you say like, oh, I have an idea, I want to not only create it one time, but rather make this into a recurring series? How do you like build that out?
So for like the recurring series, I try to make something that is not super high production, high stakes, high effort, just because I want the series to feel natural to my lifestyle. So I try to fit it into my lifestyle, especially for here are a few things I did today, or like here are a few things I did in a week. Because I travel a lot, I do a lot of other things, obviously, besides content, although content is sort of like my life now. I want to show people that, it's more than this girl behind the camera. Like I have a life outside of this. And I thought, why not show them just like small things I do, because I feel like people don't really appreciate the small things anymore, just because we're always so focused on like the next thing, the next big thing and all that. So that's something I tried to sort of convey in this mini series, and I thought it would fit in my lifestyle really perfectly. It's sort of like medium effort. It's like something I love doing anyway. So I think that was why I built the series, because I wanted to still put out something that I really, really love. And also just, I think people could just enjoy watching. So that was one of the reasons why I created that series. And when creating a recurring series, I kind of think about, if my audience were to watch me, would they want to watch something that they kind of can look forward to? Like, when you're watching a series on Netflix, like you're looking forward to like watching it every night after work or blah, 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 blah. So something like that is something I was thinking about when creating this series. And for Snap and Yap, it was because I kind of wanted to break the boundaries between the screen. Like I don't want us to just be connecting on screen. Like that's, I guess, so normalized now. It's kind of boring. And like, I feel like human connection is so underrated now, which is so sad, because it's like, what do you mean human connection is underrated, right? And obviously the growth with AI and everything, it just makes you more of like a homebody and more of like introvert. I feel like I've been that way, and I've grown towards that, where I'm just like, I can get information whenever I want, wherever I want for free. Like, why do I have to go and connect with people, right? Then I realized that, it's so inspiring meeting other people and like getting to actually talk to other creatives like-mindedly like this. Like it really just helps me get out of my comfort zone and just like, also just get inspired and just go and talk to people in general, even though it's not about taking the best photo or like making the best connection. It doesn't matter. It's just more of like getting out and actually connecting with human beings. So that's why I started Snap and Yap, also because I travel a lot. And so when I travel to different cities, I was thinking like, why not just create like small pockets of communities where people can actually meet. Like the one in New York, most of the people that came were people who wanted to move to New York or just moved to New York. So they're trying to find like a belonging, like a sense of belonging in their like-mindedness, in the sense that they all had hobbies of like taking photos, taking videos, or they were just like filmmakers. And they didn't necessarily do that as like a full-time occupation, but it's just something that they were really enjoying. So I just thought it would be super cool for everyone to meet up. At first, it was sort of like something I didn't do with any sponsors, but now that I've wanted to do more merch, I want to make it a little bit more personal, a little bit more fun for people to be there. I've gotten like sponsors, my management to help me out, like to produce the whole thing, and then also just take care of like people in a big group when walking in a city that I'm not familiar with. I think a lot of times when you're watching content creators, you put them on such a high pedestal where you think like, oh my God, they're working so hard. I'm not doing anything. Like, oh my God, I'm just sitting on my couch and they're like producing content the whole time. But it's not like that. Like I have my days where I literally, especially if I'm in the city for work, I try to take at least one day to like explore the city, go and have a coffee, go and actually like enjoy my day. And I feel like that funnily is maybe underrated, because I feel like obviously the hustle culture through social media has become so big. And I think it's important to remind people and remind myself that, hey, like it's okay to take a break. And this is what I do during, during that day.
And also it's a format that you can use recurrently without a specific end, because sometimes if you have like a format, let's say you review something, there are only so many things that you can review.
Yeah.
Let's kind of go to like my last bigger point I want to talk about today, which is you were mentioning that your management were also helping you with like the Sample Yet project. And early on we were talking about that sometimes you like also like you bring people on to projects. I'm assuming that at the very early stage of your like content career, you weren't able to do all of that. So how was that transition like? And like how did you were able to make money through content?
So it started off like I was doing TikTok, and then TikTok I was just getting like really small brand deals, which I was very grateful about. And again, I think my content creation journey has been touched with like super smooth sailing now. So it went exponentially really fast when I started in Corona. So I started on TikTok and then I went to YouTube, and that went like the first 6 months I got the first 100K followers, which is absolutely crazy because YouTube is like one of the hardest, platforms to grow on. Yeah. So thankfully, after I switched from TikTok to YouTube, I then started Instagram because I wanted to sort of like also just be a full package. At that time, I was doing a lot of deals on TikTok and then only on YouTube. So a lot of the YouTube videos I was doing, like every YouTube video had an ad. And that's something I wanted to stop because I wanted to focus on YouTube being my main platform, being personal, being someone that I could be without an ad. So I tried to leverage my short form TikTok and Instagram and shorts to basically support myself while doing that. And if I ever need, then YouTube is always there for me as a backup. And that's how I started earning money. So it's a lot of me getting brand deals. I think reaching out to brands, I've tried to, but most of the time the brands that I've worked with, they come to me. Yep. So it's a lot of inbound instead of outbound, which I'm also very, very grateful for, because I know for some people it might not be the case. Now where people are paying more for my content, I get to pick and choose who I want to work with. So that back then, I think I didn't filter a lot of it out, but now I do have to filter a lot of it. And also I do get a lot of spam emails that probably are just like a robot just sending all these emails out to every creator that they know, and every email they can find. But now it's a lot of like my management also helping me filter that out, and they know like what fits my brand and I know what fits my brand. And it's hard to define like what I know fits my brand, but like I try to work with brands that I already use. I already like use in my daily life and also in my content. So that is something that I definitely now pick and choose.
And how does it work for you sustainability wise? Like I'm guessing that not all of the paid or sponsored work are so creatively fulfilling. I assume maybe they are. I'm not sure. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. But I think sometimes you have to adapt yourself more towards the brand's vision of the content. I would say quantity wise, that you say, oh, I already know like 3 months in advance that I have like X amount of sponsored projects going on? Or is it like very last minute? Is the ratio 1-to-1 of like sponsored and like not paid work? Or like how's that?
I definitely try to do like 20% sponsor work and then like the rest has to be personal for me. Because for me, I don't want to leverage my audience in that sense, saying like I'm always selling you something. For those sponsor brands, I normally pick and choose my brands where before I sign the contract, I ask them for the creative brief, I ask them for their concept and say like, okay, is this something I can work with? Is this something I can build an idea around where I'm happy and I'm satisfied with the content? And I kind of discuss this with my management and plus the brand, of course. And if they're like, okay, yes, yeah, we're good with this, and I'm okay with the creative brief, and they give me full creative control, or like at least like 80% to 90% creative control, then I'm happy. But yeah, most of the time, the way I pick and choose is that if they give me a creative brief before I sign the contract, I'm like, I'm okay with this. I definitely vibe with it, and I know that I'll be able to produce something good and something creative for them, then I will take it. But if the creative brief feels a bit off, it doesn't feel like they know what they want and they're like depending on me to do it, normally I would say no, because a lot of the times when the brand themselves don't know what they want, it's going to be a lot of back and forth and a lot of revisions until you get the final product, and obviously when you finish your contract. So it depends.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And how long in advance do you plan this out?
I think for me, definitely on short form, it's like the max I do is like 2 per month. And even though it's like the same brand, it's like 2 pieces of content, I try to do like 2 per month. That's just because I don't want to flood it with sponsorships. Again, I don't want to leverage my audience. So that's what I try to do. And then for YouTube, again, I'm trying to do a lot of personal content on YouTube. So a lot of the times I don't take YouTube anymore.
Yeah.
I only do it with like recurring brands I've worked with on YouTube already. But other than that, I only take on short form at this moment.
Yeah.
Timing wise, I would know like 1 month in advance at best, just because brands also reach out sometimes too late, or like, you know, the campaign, obviously, because there's so many layers and tiers to like a brand, the creative team has to, you know, talk with the upper creative team and all that kind of stuff. So it's a lot of like the people planning plus our side. So normally the brands reach out, I think 1.5 months in advance. It is very tricky. Also because some of the brands require me to travel. So it's a lot of like, for example, in December, I'm traveling back to back because I have a music video, and then I have sort of like another shoot in somewhere else. And then I have to be with family during Christmas. So it's like back to back, just me traveling, and I'm not going to be home the next December. So if a brand now reaches out saying like, hey, Megan, we want you to travel here and here for this brand deal, I wouldn't be able to anymore.
Maybe you kind of give me an update briefly of like what you've got right now. And like, I mean, it's going to the end of the year right now. And do you have any goals for next year? Do you have any products going on? Can you give me like a sneak peek of what's in store for you, like going forward?
Oh, so many people asking me that. Besides my content creation, I definitely want to keep on doing this. This is definitely my full-time thing. And it's something I'm very, very like passionate about content wise. Other than that, obviously I'm also a filmmaker. So I'm trying to go into more of like a direction or director path where I'm starting to do music videos, just because I'm obviously very passionate about creating visuals and music together. So I've reached out to a few of these music creators as well online, and I've been lucky enough to work on their music videos with them. So right now that's all just in the works, all pre-production and production right now. There's one in post-production, one in production, and one in pre-production. So that's something I'm really excited to go into. For next year, I'm not exactly sure what my goals would be, but I'm definitely working on a product, which I'm not going to disclose now, but it's like something I've been working on. I don't want to promise too much, but it's something I'm very excited to release once I get to talk about it. But other than that, that would be sort of like long-term goals as of now. And I'm also trying to take care of my health more. I think that is something that I did not prioritize this year at all. So that is, I feel like, obviously the most important thing. Like, it doesn't matter how much money, how many followers you have. I think health is definitely something that you have to take care of. And I think personally, I have to take care of my health next year.
Neglecting specific parts of your life can be very easy when it's like focusing on work. And
like it's even hard for me to go and take a walk now because I don't have the time, don't make the time.
But I saw it will get better next year.
Let's hope. I mean, I should start now, but
True. Better now than like tomorrow.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for joining me today. Actually, this was like my first physical podcast, and this like for like all the prior ones were just online. But I'm like really loving the physical format because I feel it fits more interactive. Yeah, so thank you for that.
Thank you so much for having this. Was lovely. I love the questions. It's not every day that you get good questions, so really like very well thought out, and I was very happy to answer them.
Thank you.
Thank you.